What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So I'm here to ruin your day with some shocking numbers about endgame content in Warframe, and basically what got removed 5 years ago this month. We go over the raid removal post from 5 years ago, and I just want to point out this was labeled as the temporary removal of Warframe raids. And yeah, I'm basically just saying it right now. We need new endgame raids in this game like this year, seriously. We'll be going over that today. Hopefully you enjoy these types of videos. We do daily Warframe video uploads as long as I'm not like losing my voice like I was a couple days ago. Also, we do live streams for this game as well. I'll be live there tonight. First time using a WARFRAME app, which it's good for farming plat. So we're going to see a bunch of plat potentially getting added there through the tools they have provided. So check out the live stream tonight, and then we're just going to go over it right now. So let's get some gameplay on the screen and jump right in. Sorry if this ruins anyone's mood, but this needs to be talked about, seriously. So we have the forum post from 2018, which is 5 years ago now, since we're in 2023. And this is going to be called the Temporary Future of Warframe Trials. Temporary. 5 years ago is temporary. Just to point out, in the last 5 years, how many live service games have started and died and been removed, basically, in those years. I can think of at least 2 or 3 of them off the top of my head that have already came out and already gone away. Live service games. This game has had raids 5 years ago. But let's just read over the post so you can get a context of what happened 5 years ago when we got raids removed. If you didn't know this game used to have raids. 8-player raids. Now, this is before I was a content creator, so I don't actually have any footage of those. But I do have the loot that they gave people as like a compensation gift. If you did the raids, you got this stuff. We'll show that near the end of the video. So let's just read this off. So greetings, Tenno. First of all, can't believe that this game... By the way, this is made by the current head community manager, or whatever the title is. The current head community manager made this post 5 years ago. Just to put that in perspective, they're still around. I can't believe we have had a game full of 5+ years of content that's continuing to grow and shape into what we call Warframe today. To get right to the point for what you're about to read, on February 28th of 2018, all trials, which are raids, Law of Retribution, Nightmare Version, and the Jordan's Verdict will be temporarily put to rest, much like Dark Sector Armistice. Temporarily put to rest. Remember, this is 5 years ago. So according to them, temporary is still 5 years. They technically can still remove them. I know this makes it a little bit smaller so you can see some gameplay, I guess. This will happen first on PC and then soon after on consoles due to needing the cert process. Remember, they used to do updates in this game a lot quicker on PC before we were doing consoles and PC having the updates at the same time. So yeah, keep that in mind. They do updates on all platforms at the same time nowadays. If you recall, the Dark Sector systems were a system we were not happy with, and maintenance on a system like that isn't constructive to continuing changing when bigger goals are on the plate. So that's pretty much one of the reasons why they stopped with these raids, because it was too much upkeep. They were too buggy and stuff like that. Just to remind you of that. On May 18th of 2015, Update 16, we introduced the Law of Retribution raid. I keep calling it raid. The Retribution trial, because they can't call it raids. They're not allowed to call it normal stuff around here. And then the Jorah's Verdict was hot in its trail after in October of 2015. So we got 2 different raids. Think about it, we got 2 raids added to the game in 2015. And they removed them 3 years later, 2.5 years later. 2 new raids. Can you imagine getting 2 new raids in Warframe in 2023? They literally wouldn't happen. They would literally not happen because it's completely different devs now. That is just... It's just staggering to even say that out loud. 2 raids added to the game in 1 year? If that happened this year, I would actually lose my mind. I think most of the community would lose their mind. So, yeah. Let's just keep reading this. They're both 4 to 8 player trials with multiple phases, puzzles, and tons of mayhem. The good kind. As players, there was a daily source of rallying teamwork in order to gain the coveted arcane. The dissection of ultimate tactics to conquer the trial was something we welcomed and were thrilled to watch develop over time. See, they liked that we were metagaming the trials. Just pointing that out. But yet, we don't have... And also, they like the daily engagement to get teams to go together. We have nothing like that right now. We really don't. I'll get to that point near at the end of this. But we currently... It's kind of embarrassing what we got right now. We're pretty much coasting off of 6-year-old Eidolon fights. And people think that's still endgame. It might be endgame, but dude, I'm sick of that 6-year-old Eidolon fight. The reason people like that is because there's nothing else to do. If there was better fights than Eidolon fights, no one would be doing Eidolon fights, obviously. It's stale. Alright, on numerous dev streams we have mentioned and discussed the future of trials. On dev stream 75, Scott mentioned we are looking to repurpose existing raid content to make the game mode accessible for lower level players while also preparing them for end game content as they continue to progress. Okay. They didn't repurpose it. Actually, no, they tore some of the parts of the raid out and made missions out of it. And we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. And we decided it's time to address that. Taking down a terror list mirrors the tactics of a Warframe trial in terms of teamwork and communication, but can also be done as a lower level player if properly prepared. Eventually, adding trial arcanes reward to the terror list is the first step to the overall plan, temporarily put trials to rest. So basically, the arcanes that drop from Eidolons used to drop in raids. And basically, they went from that, it was like 1 arcane per day from a raid, to however many arcanes you can get per day from Eidolons, which is a lot more. So the arcane production went way up, but you don't have any raids anymore. They said Eidolon fights are a replacement to raids. That's at least loot wise and teamwork wise. Arcanes will not be added to the terror list in the planned Shrines of... Okay, they're talking about some update from 2018. We need to fix some exploits to avoid destroying the arcane market. You mean Scarlet Spear? And what was the other one called? Orphix Venom? Destroying the arcane market. Bro, they actually wrote that they cared about that. That's funny. This is not the end to trials. Our designers have put an incredible amount of blood, sweat, and tears into crafting, fixing, and maintaining trials, not to mention the blood, sweat, and tears you as a community have put into them. The upkeep of the trials is in a world where so many bigger plans are in motion are taking much needed brain power and time. As a warm thank you for the almost 2 years of commitments to trials, everyone who has participated up to its temporary closure will receive a fancy new version of the Savati Sakara badge, which is basically like a little cosmetic thing for your Warframe. One separate from the Sakara you already received from completing the LLR, we hope you wear this proudly, knowing you are inevitably helping shape and change Warframe. Now that you have this knowledge, where do you go from here? We welcome this thread as a home of constructive feedback to where you can improve trials, raid school bus. Yeah, there was like a raid school bus channel that would always do raid carries and stuff. Hey, if we had raids in this game, I'd be doing raid carries too. We have some top level ideas to revisit in the distant future in terms of redesign, but welcome the ideas of a 2+ year old mechanic that a good amount of Tennos are familiar with. Dark Sector Mayhem, working on some Dark Sector Mayhem has been hinted here. They were working at Dark Sector Mayhem in 2018. What happened to that? Okay. Empty words, it seems like. In conclusion, we're incredibly grateful for your years of love and commitment towards our trials. Just know that is not the end. This is not the end. 5 years ago. 5 flippin' years ago, dude. How long is temporary? And by the way, we as humans feel bad about having to remove trials being unsupported, but we can feel your emotions on the decision to temporarily remove them as well. So, reminder, 2018, 100 pages of feedback, but here we are in 2023. Now, to be fair, I'm going to be honest here. They did definitely say they were looking to see what they could do with raids in 2023 on the November 2022 dev stream. But a lot of people I've been talking to, honestly, are not super, we're not having great faith in those words, if you know what I mean. The fact that we've been waiting for 5 years and basically have nothing, and Duviri was totally supposed to come out in December 2022. Oh yeah, but it was almost ready to go, but then we had to delay it, and now we have Citrine's Last Wish. Oh look, another update just appeared out of nowhere. Another update for sure. It's like, how are we supposed to trust these developers that are telling us things that clearly were not actually true? There was no way Duviri was ready even near ready for December if they already delayed it twice now. We got Lua's Prey, random filler update, not the worst update, but random filler update that is supposed to be a replacement of Duviri, as Duviri got delayed. And now, in January, we got surprise extra filler update with Citrine's Last Wish that will be delaying Duviri. Who even knows? I wouldn't be surprised if Duviri came out around TennoCon at this point. But it will likely be like late March, early April is my guess. And it might not be March because of the 10-year anniversary thing. I don't even know why bother. If you surprise us with raids on the 10th year anniversary, that would be great. So yeah, about what you would get as far as, if you did these raids, I'm just going to quickly show you. But I think DE, seriously, this needs to be a front burner issue this year in 2023. As far as end game content in this game, like I said, we got 6-year-old Eidolon fights that are literally older than when raids got removed. People still do those, and, more power to you. Those arcanes still give you a good amount of plat. But it's a gameplay thing to me. I don't want to do a 6-year-old fight that I've already done a bunch of times. I play other games too. In those other games, raids are... First off, they're going to be... I feel like it's hard just to make this game have difficult content in the first place because there's such a huge variety in frames and survivability and abilities and all that. But as far as what you got from the raids, I think I have all of them. Let's see. That's a sigil. It's one of these things, these emblems. Okay, so this is this one right here. I believe this is from... Don't get mad at me if I don't remember which raid it's from. This is from either the Law of Retribution or the Nightmare Law of Retribution. This little thing right here, the swirly, that came from doing one of the raids. You cannot get this anymore. And not that big of a deal. Here's one as well. Okay, I think this is the Nightmare. This is the Nightmare raid. So basically, a Nightmare raid was a harder version of the normal raid, where there was extra mechanics. I believe there was a requirement where, so basically, Trinity was one of the meta frames back then. So was Loki Prime, and I think Nova and Vauban or something. Rhino was good too. It was a different time. Basically, there was a requirement where you could only have, I think, one of each frame. So you couldn't have everybody on Trin. Just like if they make a new raid, everyone's not allowed to play Revenant because that would just be cheese mode. But basically, you can only have one Trinity on your team. You can only have one Loki on your team. You can only have one Rhino on your team. Blah, blah, blah. That was to make it so everyone just wasn't running Trinity, because Trinity could do crazy damage reduction and healing back then, and permanent energy. And then the last loot item you'd get is from the Jordis. This is an infested raid, the Jordis Sakara. So, yeah. As far as what they should do when they bring raids back, I've had plenty of ideas on the channel, on my streams as well. I think if we get a new raid back, I don't want Law of Retribution back. I want a raid that that highlights the good parts of Warframe, mobility, stealth, killing lots of enemies at the same time, boss damage, all those types of things. Yes, I do want stealth in the raid in some way. All those things, they've had 5 years to figure it out. So I think we definitely need something this year, and I will be constantly bringing that up if I ever am in, an actual conversation with DEs. Like, man, we had raids 5 years ago. They were not the most popular. I'll admit it. Those raids were not the best. Like, Law of Retribution, the main mechanics of that raid were stand on the button. The opposite of what Warframe is about, mobility and all that, that's what the raid mechanics were in Law of Retribution. Stand on the button, and don't move. Literally don't move off the button until everyone is standing on the button is not doing anything. Once everyone is standing still doing nothing, the encounter is done. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then, I don't actually remember the raid for the infested one. That was a Arcwing raid, actually. So I only did that like once or twice. It was not... At least if it wasn't good, I don't know what the mechanics were or anything like that. It didn't feel very fun, but I did get an Arcane Energize from the 1 or 2 times I did it, so that was nice. But yeah, so let me know how you guys feel about these raids. Do you find this a complete joke like I do? Like, wow, they said 5 years ago they were temporarily removed. What is temporary supposed to mean? I mean, the game's been out. We had the 10-year anniversary this year. This was 5 years ago, so half the game's life cycle was temporary removal of raids. If we don't get someone this year, that's disrespectful, honestly. They were either lying to us, or they have a twisted version of temporary. Like, literally. So, I have plenty of ideas on what to do on raids. If DE wants any advice from me on what I'd recommend for a raid, feel free to hit me up on my official email and all that. I appreciate all the support, guys. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but yeah, 5 years ago this month, raids were removed, and we have no news of the third orb, a raid coming back, or anything like that. So it's just sad, which is pretty much how I'd explain Warframe nowadays if you're a late game player. It's just sad. So see you guys next time, and take it easy. Peace.